follow up with what you were saying as well. When my dad, speaking on behalf of my dad, 25 years ago, when he started having his first symptoms and went back tested, they didn't know what MS was. And ultimately, when he finally did get a diagnosis of MS, he thought it meant many sons. He had no idea what it was. In fact, he was told, here's some aspirin, come back in 6 months, see if that helps. And he was embarrassed by it. I don't know if embarrassment's the word, but there was so much he just didn't know. Coming out with it, he was very fearful. And eventually there was some trash magazines that caught wind of something and threatened my dad to either come out with a story with them or they were going to make up their own story. And so he called a friend of his, I know he talked to Terry, and he also talked to Annette Finicello, and said, what do I do? And she said, the best thing you can do is come out with it. Beat him to the punch, come out with it, be honest, don't hide behind it anymore. Because he was still on stage at that time, and they would change the choreography. Instead of going to the right, they'd go to the left. And he would play his trumpet, he'd play his guitar, and then he was hiding from it a little bit at first. And he'll tell you, he'll be the first one to say, the best thing he did is come out with it, and be completely honest. I would say one of the hard things about being in the limelight and the spotlight is you get bombarded a lot with every cure, every snake oil, every possibility of some treatment that you can imagine. So you have to flush through a lot of those things to say, sometimes follow your gut. What do I think is going to work for me? Because I've tried a lot of random crazy things. Some that was, I think, a waste of my time, but I thought, why not try? So I think you have to be smart, work closely with a neurologist that you do trust, and that you can be completely honest with. And absolutely not. We don't know exactly how many people that have MS because of the patient-physician privileges. We think it's somewhere around 400,000, but I think it's a lot more. And the more we come out of it and have a voice that makes some noise, the more we're going to get recognition, the closer we're going to get to a cure.
Dr. Hauser, what's the best question? What is the best question?
Here?
No, as a neurologist. What is the best question someone could ask you in here that you could give a complete answer to?
So that's a I would answer that question with a question. The best question that I would like to answer is, what should I do today to protect myself from ever being troubled by this again? And we are now at a point where we could have those answers for people in a very short time. We could say, you don't need to take any medication and you will be okay. Or you need to take a simpler medication or a more toxic medication. And I think that we will be treating MS in a very personal way in the future. So I think that my goal, and the goal for all of us, until we have the prevention and the cure, is to be able to say to every person with MS in the world, this is the right course based upon your individual type of MS. There are so many medical questions in this group, so we're going to try and fly through a number of these. And Dennis, can I just start with you with a few questions that we will go through? My sister with MS has been taking Ampurya. This is 4-aminopyridine. It improves conduction in demyelinated nerves and axons. Ampurya seemed to work for a while and then stopped. And the related question, I'm extremely heat sensitive. What is actually happening?
So Ampurya works real well for about 40% of people with MS. I think some people initially feel better on it, but it's not really doing a good job for them. We have no evidence that it wears off, though. So it's an expensive medicine. If it's really not doing anything for somebody, they should stop it. Heat sensitivity is caused by the demyelinated nerve fibers, which are functioning become very sensitive to changes in body temperature, so that they can go from being able to conduct electricity with enough, even slight elevations in body temperature to not being able to until the temperature comes back down. So it's a very well understood physiologic phenomenon related to demyelination of nerve fibers.
The other, another question for Dr. Bourdette. There are many questions about diet. Low-fat diet, gluten-free diet. What do you recommend for people?
I think that a low-fat diet has some benefit in MS, and I recommend it for my patients. I don't think there's, unless you've got a proven gluten allergy, that there's any benefit to a gluten-free diet. But I do think a low-fat diet is beneficial.
For Dr. Bobant, what about cannabinoids? This is marijuana-like drugs for neuroprotection, to protect nerve cells. And what else for neuroprotection is exciting?
So in terms of marijuana, there's been several studies evaluating whether it helps different types of MS symptoms. And there's been really no evidence that it was truly helping the symptoms, but it helped patients to cope with symptoms better. There is no evidence that it slows down the progression of MS, although there's intriguing observations that some of the immune cells actually have receptors for it. So there may be some interaction, but we don't know that much about that. So far, it's not being studied for neuroprotection, as far as I know, because there's no rationale for that. There's different medications being studied for neuroprotection. Some have been used in other neurologic diseases, such as stroke or Lou Gehrig's disease. The one I'm studying is called Riluzole, has been on the market for Lou Gehrig's disease for over 20 years, well known a year and a half whether it helps or not. There are other medications that were being evaluated, but they had to stop because it increased actually symptoms in patients. One of them is memantine. And there's new molecules being developed actually to try to protect nerves. And some medication like lithium may also be tested to keep my psychiatrist colleague happy.
Dr. Pelletier, can you explain black holes? And what is the importance of regular MRIs?
Well, let's go with the regular MRI first. In my practice, I do use imaging on an annual basis, whether patients have new symptoms or not. I think the imaging, the MRI particularly, is very sensitive to detect MS activity. Even if these lesions are clinically silent, we think that they mean something, obviously, and we think it's not good for patients. So on an annual basis, I do imaging on all my patients. And again, it could, for me, it's a way to detect disease activity, even if patients are not having new symptoms. So it's a very, very useful tool, and I do that on an annual basis. So that I do the brain, and we could also do the cervical cord and the spinal cord as well. So regular imaging is the neurologist's best friend, I would say, at this moment.
Could I hope for a more enjoyable experience during the MRI?
Those are happening, aren't they?
That's right. Most patients do. Most patients have the same reaction. Of course, imaging can be. Well, I've been in the scanner myself about 100 times, and it gets a lot easier. The first one was tough, but after a while, it gets. I must say, it gets easier. But we're becoming better and better at standardizing our imaging. So maybe one scan done at Harvard and then at Yale, at UCSF, and everywhere else. We can actually do the same, and that's my hope actually, that every single MS patient in this country would have the same brain MRI protocol, so that we can actually compare from patient to patient and scan to scan. So that's one thing that we're really working hard on.
Dr. Hauser, I'm going to interrupt. I'm sorry.